Hey, what's up you guys, it's Connor, and today I'm going to be doing a book review on Blackbirds by Chuck Wendig. This is the first book in the Miriam Black trilogy, which follows a girl named Miriam Black, and she has the ability to, when she touches someone else's skin, know exactly when and how they're going to die. She's basically a third-party person watching them die every single time she touches someone's skin. Luckily, she only sees the vision once, and no matter what she does, it always comes true. At the beginning of the book, Miriam has basically been preying on bad people that are going to be dying soon, so she makes herself present at the time of death of someone who is basically a bad person, and then steals from their body to continue traveling and paying for food and everything like that. This book is definitely adult, so know that going in. The first scene of the book is a guy accusing Miriam of falsely portraying herself as a prostitute, and he expects her to have sex with him, at which time Miriam then informs him of his impending death in 3 minutes or something like that, and then she watches him die and steals money from him. Things take a turn when Miriam gives a handshake to a guy named Lewis and finds out that he's going to die in a month, and he's going to die saying her name. In a not very pleasant way, he's going to die a very painful death, and she's present for it. It then snowballs into Miriam trying to avoid that fate. She doesn't want to be there when she watches this guy die because he's a good person, and she doesn't want to also be in danger with this guy. So she has to debate being a good person herself and trying to change this fate of this guy who's going to die a very painful death with her there, or try to avoid it and run. What will happen? You'll have to read to find out. As usual with my book reviews, I'm going to go through my pros, go through my cons, give you my rating, and be done. My first pro for this book is going to be the main character, Miriam Black. I really enjoyed reading from her perspective. She's very confident, very sarcastic, but she's also super pessimistic, fatalistic, and pretty much crude. When she describes people or scenes or situations, she uses a lot of foul language, so know that going in, and it's very graphic the way that she describes certain things. At one point, she starts to describe this woman who she does not like, and she just has a huge string of insults that I would never use those words, but she does, and I liked that her characterization was very consistent throughout the whole book. She's struggling because she has this very negative outlook, but she has to try to change that, and she has to try to overcome this fate. And it says in the blurb, forced to care in a world she sees only through the lens of death, Miriam is going to have to try living. So she can be both funny and very depressing, I guess, at times, and so I really enjoyed reading about her. I like that this book was fast-paced because it is more of a thriller, I guess. The plot starts off straight away. Like I said, that first scene is very shocking, and then you just keep going and keep going and keep going, and that's how I read this book. I read it so fast. I think I read it in one sitting. It's not a very long book. I think it's only 288 pages or something like that, but the story itself is very fast-paced, and you learn as you go, so you don't have to spend any time setting up a world or anything. You just off you go, and you start learning about Miriam and what has happened to her, why she has this ability as you go through the story. The tension was very gripping. I felt the tension of the book growing and growing and growing as she's trying to figure out things before they're gonna happen and try to get herself out of that situation. There's a lot of other players involved. She starts to meet the characters that are going to be involved in these awful things that are happening, and so just the tension of her living the next month just increases and kept me reading and kept me very invested. I like the amount of potential that this story has. He could take it in so many different directions, and I think that's something that I really enjoy about Chuck Wendig's books and writing. I read the Heartlanders trilogy by him, and that is one of the most unpredictable books that I have ever read in my entire life. This one is not the most unpredictable thing ever, but I really enjoy the fact that now that I've read this book, I have no idea how the next one is going to be, or where the story is going to be taken. There's so many potential directions that this could go, and I'm excited to see what actually happens. The questions that this book brings up in terms of fate and changing your fate, and do we actually have any control over things that happen, or are the things that happen, or the bad things that happen to us, already planned and we can't do anything about it? And my last pro for this book is mainly again about Miriam, is that she's a very, I don't know, moral person, sort of, besides the fact that she's stealing from dead people, but she only ever does it to people that she judges are bad people. So people that are cheaters and abusers and stuff like that, she will take money from them, but if they're good people, she avoids them, and sometimes she even tells them about their own death ahead of time and they believe her and live life to the fullest. So I really liked that she is moral, sort of, in those regards. Now onto my cons. My first and biggest con for this story is that Miriam is in this weird, forced sexual relationship that I don't really understand. There's this guy that comes into the picture and basically forces Miriam to have sex with him, sort of, but then it says that she enjoys it, and I don't really know how I feel about that. It kind of left a bad taste in my mouth when it was happening. It's not throughout the whole novel or anything like that, but it was weird that he would force her to be sexual with him, but then she acted like she didn't like it, but I don't know if she actually did or not. It was very unclear if she liked it or not, and I wish it had been more explicit if Miriam was actually enjoying that, or if that was planned, or if that was consensual or not, because I didn't really feel like it was, and so that bothered me a little bit. And the other one was that I just really was not expecting how intense this book would be, how many times you see people die in these gross, graphic ways. After the first, I don't know, 5 or 6 or something, I kind of got used to it, but at first I was very shocked and kind of pushed out of the story a little bit because I didn't expect that going in. So know going in that it is very graphic and goes into detail about how people die fairly frequently. And the way that it's described is not always the most respectful, if that makes sense. So when describing someone dying, they'll say they kissed the front bumper of a car and died. You know, like, it's just kind of like, ooh. So, a little bit more intense than I was expecting, but overall, I really did enjoy this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I'm very excited to continue with the series and see what happens in the next book. I already have it in my Book Outlet cart because the whole series is on Book Outlet, so you can go and get it if you want to. And as I said, I love Chuck Wendig's books because they are so unpredictable, so I will definitely be doing a review on the second one. But this first one, I gave it 4 stars. Recommend it. So that's going to be my review on Blackbirds by Chuck Wendig, the first book in the Miriam Black trilogy. If you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up and comment down below if you've read this book before. Have you read something similar where the person touches someone and knows how they're going to die? If you have any recommendations for me or want me to know anything else, leave it down below, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.